Hey everyone, this is Fat with his Year 2 P320 X5 Legion Everyday Carry review. So, if you watched the last video, you see a couple of new things. I had my last crossbreed holster break on me. This holster is set up differently because it's light bearing, but the holster where it attached to the leather cracked at the seam when I put my holster on my belt and then cinched my belt down. It just ended up cracking completely through. It still worked. It didn't hold as much retention. Not that I was, doing handstands, but it didn't really matter to me. I rocked it until I got this, and I cannot recommend any other holster enough compared to this. This is a tier 1 concealment. I had problems with this thing right out of the box. The clips snapped when they got caught on everything because they were just so damn... This is like a very thick holster. They gave me plastic clips off the get-go. These are the metal clips off my old crossbreed holster. And you can see they're starting to bend because they get caught on things. This one specifically, because it sits so much higher than the other one. But not only that, I had to cut down this edge because when this was holstering, the slide release here, because it's like a half circle made of metal and relatively sharp, whenever I holstered with it, it would draw blood. My fat gut stuck over the edge of the holster, and when holstering, it just took a chunk out of me twice. So I cut it down, burnished the edge with the lighter, or cut it up with my knife, and then burnished the edge with my lighter. Don't breathe in the fumes if you do that. But that made it kind of work. And even then, I had constant issues with, these not staying tight without Loctite. I was too lazy to put on Loctite. I just would tighten it up once a week, because that's after like a week of wear. It just does this. This one stayed on pretty tight constantly. Every once in a while, let's say probably about once a month, it would loosen up, but I had good retention out of this. Easy holstering and unholstering, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. I could never get my pants to fit right with this on. It was sometimes a bitch reholstering, depending on how tight I cranked my belt, because it would just do one of these on me. And there just wasn't enough meat left after altering the holster in order to properly reholster with the light on it. So let's go into this light. This is a Surefire X300U. Plenty bright. Actually went hiking in Vermont up a abandoned military base up there. And about halfway up, it turned nighttime, and this was my only source of light, and that was kind of sketchy as all hell, but it lasted. You can also see some significant finish wear on the side of this handgun. That is entirely due to the fact of that's exactly where this holster ends. So it'll cover pretty much right there. So a summertime of 80, 90, 100 degrees in, very high humidity weather, my sweat and my skin is just gonna rub all that away. Thankfully, it doesn't look to be completely bare yet. This spot doesn't really rust that bad. It doesn't rust like my mag release and my slide release do. Those would rust up all the time. Probably see some rust in there right now. A little bit of discoloration around the edges on that slide or mag release. otherwise solid. So I did replace both of these parts. I replaced my mag release for the sole fact of the original got so disgustingly rusty after I swapped out holsters that I just could not handle, like, anytime I oiled my gun, it would just be like a cascade of nasty, oily rust coming out of the gun, and I just could not constantly deal with that. I replaced the slide release because with the gun with a magazine in it and the slide locked open, I set it down on the edge of a counter and it went like that. What ended up happening is all of the weight went onto the back of the slide here. You can see the damage on the striker cover. And that just torqued the slide release up and forward. And when I tried to put a little bit of heat on the aluminum one and then bend it back into place, it just outright snapped. But it didn't work as a slide release, but the gun still ran fine without it. So I ran that for about a month and a half before I got tired of holding the slide open like John Wick to load my first round and then slap a mag in. Other than that, I've had absolutely no issues with the gun, plenty of issues with the holsters. Finding a concealed carry holster for this boat anchor is very hard. I got this probably about 2-3 weeks ago. You can see it's just starting to get its wear marks here. This holster has been absolutely great to me so far. I'm loving the customizability. You can change, the height pretty much anywhere in here. So if you want it canted or, you just want it lower or higher, whatever, you can do it. I personally have it so that the belt line sits right here, and it's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. It's not the easiest to reholster, but I have a feeling that it's just wear and getting used to it. I'm still not entirely used to it. It's needed a little bit of breaking in. So I wore it around the house for a while before taking it out. I dealt with that piece of crap for a long time. But you can see that this is significantly thinner. Here, I'll put that on its back just for, comparison. It really is mostly that bump out to prevent the screw from scratching the flashlight and this clip that make it so thick. But just having, these standoffs being that far out and it's still thinner than this holster makes a world of difference. I don't notice that I'm wearing my holster when I have this on. I can comfortably sit down and play video games for a couple of hours while wearing my holster with the gun in it and have no issues. I can drive with it no issue. I probably can't holster while I'm driving just because the mag weld digs into the seat. But great holster. It's the Crossbreed LDS 2.0. This is, oh Jesus, I already said the name. What was it? Oh well, it'll come to me. I'm not recommending them anyways. Had too many issues. Armory Craft barrel with a, I want to say Harrington, or it could just be another Armory Craft piece, compensator. I couldn't really get great accuracy out of it because I was having issues keeping the damn comp from moving. I torqued this down like a son of a bitch on both sides, and it would not stay. Even with a little bit of Loctite, I get my gun hot. The Loctite didn't even matter. I tried like all hell to make this thing work. I put probably about 200 or 300 rounds through it, and I just could not get solid accuracy. Even, trying to Kentucky windage my red dot here, because I was not going to try and sight in my red dot for this barrel and comp. I was going to get a new slide and a dedicated red dot for this barrel and comp, but it just, I couldn't get standard accuracy trying to Kentucky windage this thing, so I just took it out. I also had some issues with failure to feed with this barrel and comp. It wasn't allowing the slide to go far enough back even with my lightest spring in it. Sorry, my second lightest spring. My lightest spring, it would function properly, but I noticed absolutely no difference in recoil. Actually a slight favor towards my heavy spring with the bull barrel over this barrel with the comp and the light spring. So it wasn't worth, you know, the $200-300 it took me to do that when I could have just ran this thing straight. But as this is, you can see all the finish wear that's coming up on it. Now that red dot sight was kind of worn to begin with, but a lot of that you're seeing on the side there was again from that holster, and that holster sucks. It also did that, which was kind of crazy. I think that's more of a manufacturer's defect than holster wear, because your holster shouldn't do that to a gun. It shouldn't do that every day for a year. Just 1 year of wearing it, 365 draws. No, it should not wear that badly. But other than that, I put another 2, 3, maybe 4,000 rounds through it since the last video. I try and train consistently, and when I have range days with the boys, everyone gets their turn with this thing. Everyone loves it. We get this thing so hot that, oh god. We get this thing so hot that I've scorched the inside of the slide. Oh, my little girl hands. That was the sound of the guide rod hitting the ground. Kind of see that discoloration in there. It's almost like a rainbow, halfway, just about below the front sight here. You can see the normal. Oh, actually, that's a scorch mark all on itself. That's a scorch mark mixed with the barrel making contact. That's a nifty one. But yeah, the internals are all perfect. I try and keep this thing as clean as humanly possible. Even being a daily, I see people, my dad included, pull their guns out of their holster, and it's just a fucking dust ball. Take care of your stuff and it will take care of you. I have beaten the hell out of this handgun. I've used it as a hammer, I've thrown it, I've sunk it a couple times, and it runs. I haven't done like a mud test or anything with it. I don't intend to do a mud test. I'm willing to bet that cleaning out that little opening in the red dot sight would not be fun with mud, so I'm going to leave that to someone else to do. Pick my shit up off the floor. Yeah, standard stock guide rod. I haven't gone with that tungsten one. I haven't seen a reason to. I have a feeling that the tungsten one is only going to increase wear on the inside of my firearm. No idea if that's true, it's just a gut feeling, and thing's fucking heavy enough. There's no reason to upgrade. I've left it bone stock except for the red dot and the flashlight. Beyond that, everything else is what came with the gun. You know, spring, barrel. Trigger is the standard trigger, though, you know, it's the upgraded competition one. Very lightweight. Now that it's broken in, it's real good. Let me set this down real quick. Get my gun back together. What's funny is you guys might be able to hear this thing fly off into the distance when I set this up wrong. Okay, so barely any pressure. Snap. That's your take up right there to the wall. A little bit of pressure. I think I've got either a pound or just under a pound for trigger weight, and it is just smooth. You can get that thing running very quickly and it won't complain. It will just sit there and it'll take a beating. And that's why I have thousands and thousands of rounds through it, because it is just, it's a glutton. It loves it. You can sit there and you can throw 1,000 rounds through it in a day and it will have zero functions unless you buy, you know, Winchester white box or some other crap ammo. You remember when Winchester white box was good? But yeah, that's my year 2 everyday carry of the P320 X5 Legion in review. So far, my red dot sight, my flashlight, they have treated me very well. I've had a very good window. You know, you got a good view of everything around with that red dot. This holster is treating me very well. I highly recommend it as long as it fits your gun. Buy one. This technically isn't even the holster for this gun. This is the regular P320 light bearing. But yeah, you can see I've got a little bit of hand cheese going on in the stippling because it's so aggressive. All of the hardware on the outside that's stock kind of starts to rust. It needs to be replaced. The finish wears quickly, but this is a purpose-driven firearm. This is not your staccato. This is not the Gucci Glock that pretends to come out of the safe every once in a while. This is the gun that you throw when you're pissed off, or use as a hammer because there's no better suitable tool around. You're working on your car and you're already underneath it, you're pissed off, you're using this. And you unload it, provided you're a safe human being, and you just beat the piss out of it. It works. Don't treat these things nicely. They're meant to be thrown away. Wow, that sounds like I'm a criminal. They're meant to be replaceable. Granted, even if you're rough on these things, they last. So I highly recommend the P320 X5. This is year 2, probably going on year 2.5 at this point. I'll probably get a year 3 out at some point. I may still end up swapping the slides out and go for a shorter carry slide with the slightly shorter barrel and the integrated comp that sits flush with the frame here, because that it looks very slick. It looks like it was meant to come out of the box that way. But if you haven't already gotten a P320 X5 Legion, I recommend you do so. It is probably one of my favorite 9mm that I've ever run. I've ran the Beretta M9s, the Glocks, Hellcats. I've ran a couple of different 9mm, even little 9mm revolvers, which are always fun. This one always comes back as my everyday carry because it's so consistent with use. This red dot doesn't lose zero no matter what I do to it, and I know at the end of the day, no matter what condition I'm in, I can use this to fight. I can use it as a hammer. I can, if I run out of ammo with my shitty little 10-round state-compliant magazines, I can use it as a hammer if need be. So, if you don't have one, buy one. I highly recommend it. Don't worry about the finish wear. That's how you know you're using your guns. Don't be one of those guys that bitches about the brass marks on his brass deflector on his AR. Just run it. All right, gentlemen, you enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a great year. None of that happy holidays bullshit. Merry Christmas. And have a great day.